Man battle stations missile for WSRT. Spin up all missiles.
Well, welcome everybody. It is once again the Sub Vets. 'Tis I, Dave, along with Eric, and we are ever so glad to be here with each and every one of you on a Saturday night in the big wide wonderful world. Eric, good afternoon, evening, whichever it is there. You got to unmute yourself.
It is getting into evening here. I am muted. You can't hear me? Can you hear me?
Got to unmute yourself, man. Well, we lost Eric's sound. I don't know what happened to him. Pushing buttons or something over there.
How about that? Can you hear me? Hello?
I don't know where you went.
What? I got it unmuted.
I'm here. Eric's trying to figure out what it was working fine, and then we launched the live stream and we lost him. So I don't know where he went. I mean, I can see him, but no clue where you are, man. That's life, I guess. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about. Gas prices here are plummeting.
Testing.
Like our Costco is down to $4.69, which no one was expecting. So there's that. And there you go. I don't know, man. Are you turned up? Oh, you know what it is? Try that now. Try it now.
Testing. Can you hear me?
There you go.
It wasn't me.
It was you. It was me.
It was the one-armed man. What are you doing to me, Dave?
Sorry. Too many buttons.
Hey, Dave. So I saw you were out and about a little bit earlier this week.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of the fan action.
We had a big 4th of July thing here, and Bainbridge Island has a parade, which is kind of weird because Bainbridge Island is one of the, and I'm going to say this, and some people are going to get mad, it's one of the least patriotic areas you'll ever find. I mean, Bainbridge Island starts every city council meeting. Every city council meeting in Bainbridge Island starts with, we acknowledge that we are on stolen Indian land. But they never move. They don't do anything about it. But they start every meeting that way. Anyway, so it was kind of cool. Had the float out for a second time. And
Well, back on the Indian, I just want to tell you that I'm 1/4 of 1/10 of 1/3 of 1/10 of 1/4 of Cherokee.
Well, there you go. Bainbridge Island is well, they're not on technically Cherokee land. I guess it's Duwamish, but. And
I'm running for senator.
Are you? From Massachusetts.
We shouldn't make fun of people.
Why not? That's the whole joy of life, isn't it? It's making fun of people.
I mean, the whole world is so crazy. It's just like you really can't make sense of it. So, I mean, you got that whole situation and NATO forces are out there in, staging around for Ukraine. So they're in Poland, where they staging in Poland, and there's another country they're staging in. Is it Lithuania? Well, Lithuania, that's the one with the pipe where they got the trains shut down so Russians can't get supplies through to their. There
were a bunch of destroyers in Riga.
Better than that. Yeah. But it's complete crazy town. And I saw a rumor on my rumor page that I like to follow, which maybe I'll disclose it in the. I'll put that link maybe after the show, where some of my rumor pages. But they're saying that they're trying to pay $16,000 to retired veterans to go fight the war against Russia, the big bad Russia. You in, Dave? You know, like some of these.
$16,000. Who's going to pay that? Who's paying that? Ukraine?
I mean, you go on Twitter. There's a lot. It's a funny thing. There's a lot of people mad at Russia, and they talk a lot of stuff on social media. But I'm like, all right, suit up and let's get you over there. And then it's like, hey, take it easy now. I'm like, if you're going to talk it, you got to be willing to back it up. You're ready to go to war. You got ready to go.
I'm afraid that I would be
nuts,
slightly less than useless in that situation. So, I mean, number one, I can't run. Number two, I can't see hardly, and I can't hardly hear sometimes. So I don't No, I'm almost 60 years old.
What if they put you on a boat?
Do they
I'm
have
on a boat,
boats?
submarine? I don't know. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Ukraine used to have submarines.
I mean, all the recruiting's down.
Yeah. You talking about
all
ours?
the recruiting's down because
about our boats
all
or
the crazy is going on. So
you talking about our boats or their
no, I'm
boats?
just saying recruiting in the armed forces period is down.
See, I don't know, man. If the Navy called me.
Say they needed people on one of our submarines.
Well, again, it depends on what they want me to do. If they wanted me to go and mess crank, then no. But if they want me to go and see, I can't even be an FTB anymore because they're obsolete. We don't even have them anymore. So what am I going to do? Helmsman, planesman, I guess.
I don't know, wax decks.
No, see, I'm not doing that. I can't
do that.
Can't get on my knees. Neither can you right now. So no. 16 grand.
No, I definitely did. I did that. I actually kind of slipped down on one knee, and that was not fun.
No.
When I'm walking on this thing, I definitely could tell there's mechanical parts in there. I wanted to ask you a question. So like the shoulder, and anytime you have the dentistry done, like if you have a root canal and they put something, it takes a while to get used to foreign things that are put in your body. So I'm trying to remember how long it took me to get used to the shoulder, but how long did it take you to get used to the knee where your brain was adapted to it and not really thinking about it?
In some ways.
Or are you still feeling it?
In some ways, it was almost instantaneous, but realistically speaking, it still feels odd to me, although it's not a noticeable thing now. I don't think about it, except when something happens, like I bang it into a wall or a coffee table or something. Then I think about it as I'm screaming in pain on the floor. But I don't know, man.
So if you're still bumping and stuff, the anchors, they kind of hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy getting used to that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's coming along. They said I'm ahead in my PT. They said I'm doing pretty good. So it's just getting used to it. That's all. I'm walking. As I said to you some weeks ago, I was way ahead in my PT as well until about day 10, and then I had a major problem, and that set me back a couple of weeks. And then my insurance company, for some reason, decided to just take a couple of weeks off, and didn't get me approved for PT until almost a month and a couple of days after the surgery. So I went, that whole month without PT other than what I was doing myself. So it was. And then you don't know if you're doing the right things because, I mean, you can do PT the wrong way and screw it up.
Well, like I said, I ended up having to do manipulation under anesthetic, which was fun. So, it's where they knock you out because they're going to bend your knees. So.
Because it's going to be so painful. Yeah. I got pretty good range of motion. I'm pretty happy with that. So in the submarine news, well, heck, in Navy-wide, we were just discussing this. There's been a lot of officers relieved in the Navy period. But on the USS Scranton, the CO was relieved for loss of confidence. But cannot find any reasons why. I don't think they hit anything. I mean, the boat sems like it's.
I haven't seen any news stories to that effect. I haven't seen any news stories. I haven't seen any of that. But, again, maybe. I don't know. He was only there for a few months. He was only there for 8 months? So, what can somebody do in 8 months?
Did they get time to even deploy? Yeah.
What can somebody screw up so badly in 8 months that the Navy loses?
Right.
Because again, we talked to Ryan about this a couple of weeks ago. This process by which they put someone in command of a submarine is not. I mean, they're not just pulling people out of a hat going, "Oh, we think you would be great at this. Go right ahead." There's a training process. There's PCO schools.
Right.
It's a process. So if there was a real problem with him, somebody would have noticed that somewhere along the way, right? In theory. Right. 8 months.
I agree.
And, well, we were wrong about this guy. I don't know what he did. I don't know what happened. maybe he's just, maybe he's an idiot. Maybe he was, sexting with a 14-year-old daughter of a NIS agent or something, who knows? But
that happens in the British Navy here a lot lately. We talked about that a few podcasts ago.
I feel like
they were, yeah.
I feel like something like this almost has to be some kind of, and I'm just spitballing here. I don't know. Nobody has called me up and said, Dave, here's why we have to relieve the Scranton's commanding officer. Do you approve? And I say, I concur or I don't concur. Whatever. Nobody's doing that. But you almost feel like it had to be
in your house.
No, I don't. You almost feel like it has to be some kind of DUI, some kind of crime. And DUI, that's what got the guy off the destroyer down in San Diego. Was this guy was doing great, and then DUI, and you lose command, you lose confidence. And I don't know, in my day, DUI wasn't going to cause that, but it's a different world. It's a different Navy now. And
yeah, I don't even know how they, well, I mean, that podcast with Ryan, I'm still taking that all in. I mean, what a great interview. That guy he's just a dynamic, engaging speaker. And if you got people like that, but he's been out, 10 years now?
Yeah.
So, but if you had people like that training officers and leaders, and you would think, man, they got it squared away. And it's just, he said he worked for Admiral
Richardson.
The CNO.
Richardson.
And you had a lot of respect for it. It'd be interesting to get a hold of somebody like that and talk to them. How are our CO being groomed for submarine, being a submarine captain?
Yeah, let's not use the phrase
is
groomed
it
for that. Let's say trained.
Trained, groomed.
Yeah. Just to be unsafe. I don't know, but I know what it takes to train an FTV, and I can't imagine that it's any less than that for a CO. I mean, you don't really, from the day you join the Navy, you're training for your next job. You're training to move up. So a brand new ensign on a submarine would be training along the way. Somebody would notice, I think, if there was that big of a character flaw. Now, again, not all captains are created equal. I had 2 captains on my boat, and one I loved, the other I respected. How's that? And my respect for him has grown since I left the Navy. But at the time, I didn't, he if I had to choose one or the two to go to war with, I wouldn't have chosen the second guy. I would have chosen the first guy. And
well, the other thing too is, but it's also the COs that, like you're saying, when younger officers are coming up, like with the podcast with David Anderson. The guy was on fire. He was on track to get into the XOCO pipeline. He was led to believe he was going to be going there, and then something happens, and then your CO just, he decides one day, I don't think you're ready. Put that in your eval, and you're done.
Well, that happens on the enlisted side too. When I got out of school, when I got out of C school, I unfortunately had a plowback billet because there just weren't enough billets left. And I actually had a higher choice than one of the other guys who went to boat, but he had a family back in New London, really wanted to go back. And so we sat down over a dinner one night and hashed out that I would take the plowback and he would go back to New London. So I ended up working in the data center at TTF in Bangor for about 9 months, I guess. And at the end of that 9 months, the master chief in charge there pulled me aside and said, here's your transfer eval. Let's go over it. And he told me to my face, I can still see him, this is a great eval for a brand new E4. This is, you. Keep in mind, I'd worked my ass off there. Okay. I was doing things that people who had been in that center for years wouldn't do, civilians wouldn't do. I was carrying the load. I was there, I was working the morning shift. And anyway, I was pretty proud of what I did. And I had been told by my supervisor, who was a senior chief, that I was doing great. He was sorry to lose me, blah, blah, blah. This master chief, Eugene Straw, looked at me and said, this is a great eval for a brand new E4. 3 days later, I'm at the Michigan, sitting in the office there with my new division officer, and he's looking at my record. And he says, wait, come with me. And he stands up and we go across the hall to a private room. And he closes the door and he says, if you're half as effed up as this evaluation says you are, I'm going to S-can you right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was brand new before. I didn't know. I didn't know that 3 2s were not good marks. Right. But the same thing that Dave was talking about, this guy tried to ruin my career before I even had one because I don't know. He didn't like me, I guess. I don't know. To this day, I don't know what his problem with me was. But, so whatever happened to Dave, if it happens on the officer side, it happens on the enlisted side too. And for the record, I just want to be clear, that was the last 3 2 I ever got. So don't panic. Right. Okay. My evaluations after that, 4.0. So it didn't hurt me in the long run, I guess is what I'm saying. But I always hated the idea that one person, when Dave was talking about that, I hated the idea that one person can ruin your career like that. I think that's BS. Right. But at the same time, have we reached the era where one mistake, if you're the CO of a submarine, why would you ever touch alcohol again? That would be my question. Why would you take any risk at all to do anything stupid? Oh, it's just one beer. You know how many people get pulled over every year for DUI because they just had one beer and one beer turns into 2, 2 turns into, I can handle 4.
That actually happened in our CO on the Grant. I'm not going to say his name, but I mean, it was like weeks, maybe a month before the actual decommissioning. Like the command was going to be gone, boat turned over the shipyard, and he got a DUI coming on to Bangor. I guess the base caught him. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate, but you're right. Why take the risk?
And we're assuming here because we know the destroyer captain had a DUI, and that's what happened to him. We don't know what happened to the commander of the Scranton. All we know is the Navy said we lost confidence in his ability to command, which.
Well, the other thing is we need to get some chiefs on here, and I got some people that I'm talking to. It's just vacations right now; it's hard to get some, but it'd be interesting to hear some of the stories to see how similar it is going from that jump from E6 to E7 is a big jump.
Yeah,
well, at least it used to be. And you could have perfect scores, but if something wasn't worded, like if you had somebody put a sentence in there that said just a certain way, well, you're going to a board, people are looking over that and they're like, oh, well, what's that all about? Yeah, he's got the right scores, but what's his statement? Why was that put in there?
And that's what it comes down to, Art. These marks, these 4.0 marks don't mean anything in our, they don't mean anything. It's all in the verbiage on the backside. And depending on how that's worded, depending on what buzzwords are or are not used, you're essentially virtue signaling what you really think of this person, even though you're praising them. Oh, Petty Officer Ryle is a very good technician. Petty Officer Ryle is an outstanding technician, which gets noticed. Right.
And yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly how it did. There were certain key words and that would sink you. That at least when you're going from E4 to E5 and E5 to E6, at least that's points based and how well you do on the test.
Right.
But when you get into the chief ranks, I mean, it just everything changes.
In my day, I don't know about your day, but in my day, I was in the very first wave era of having to have a degree to make chief. If you didn't have a degree, you weren't going to make it. You could have the most incompetent fire controlman on the face of the planet. And don't think they don't make E6 because they hang around long enough. You could have somebody that literally didn't know diddly squat about fire control as a fire controlman. But if he had a degree and the right word verbiage in his evaluations, he was going to make chief over somebody who was a better technician, a better fire controlman, but didn't have, a degree and some of these degrees were just so ridiculous. Human resource management. What are you going to do with a human resources management degree as a fire controlman? But Dave, being a chief is all about managing people. Yeah, but the Navy teaches you that. That's why you go to LMET school.
But again, that's somebody in your immediate command's opinion.
Right. And which command you're in. Anyway, I'm not bitter about it because I got out. I knew I was getting out before I even took the chief's exam. So it's not a bad, I'm not looking back at it going, oh, it wasn't fair. But man, that guy tried to ruin my career. He tried to ruin my life. Because why? And I was young enough and knew enough. That's what pissed me off, is that he lied to my face. If he hadn't lied to my face, I probably would have gone, okay, there's room to improve. But he lied to my face, and that's what still sticks. It's been 40 years, Ron. It's been 40 years, Eric, and I'm still pissed off about it. If I saw him at the mall today, it still bothers me. I would be in his face about it. And I'd be sure to show him my 3 admiral's letters of commendation and, and my other minor awards that I have along the way to explain to him that you were wrong, dude. But I'm not, that's the only case of that I have in the Navy. It's the only bitter case.
Well, you know some of the people that are active duty right now. I mean, how's evaluations done now?
I have no idea.
Plus, you go to the fleet on a submarine now. A lot of these, except for the nuke program. But I know for MT, it's changed. You go as a seaman. You could just get an A school, and boom, you're out there. Right. The training's not as intensive. We used to get dang near 2 years of college credits that you can. Not all of them be accepted. It depended on what kind of degree you're trying to get. But you got quite a bit. What would be considered 2 years of school.
Right.
But
I don't know.
Don't get that now.
I've heard from people. They got to do brag sheets still. We had to do brag sheets, but they have to do brag sheets that have a little more, impetus to them now. And they don't like doing them. And I don't understand that. The one person that I've talked to about that, I'm like, this is your chance to make yourself sound like Jesus Christ. And you're mad about that? Right. Believe me, because if anything hasn't changed in the Navy, let's say I'm a chief petty officer and I have to write Eric's evaluation, second class petty officer Eric, and I have to do it because Eric doesn't turn in a brag sheet. So I have to go pick my brain and go, okay, let's see. Eric successfully swept the passageway without injuring anyone. I'll put that in there. But when Eric brings to me this brag sheet that's 4 pages long with all this great stuff he's done, man, I love that because I'm just going to pick and choose. I'm just going to copy and paste, and I don't have to do the work. Has the Navy really changed? Do the chiefs want to do the work now?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to get into, because if you look now, it's easier because I do this in the civilian world. It's important that you when it comes to the cycle for raises, you'll be quarterly or semi-annually or annually. You should. Every little bonus point, or when somebody gives you a thank you letter or some kind of a notation of great customer service, is a good example, or whatever. Or Eric helped out this person with this router, and he just went over and beyond. The customer was upset, he finally fixed it. You should save these things, and it's easier to do now because all the technology you got. You can just save these things. Back in our day, we had to write them in a notebook. Right. And I think that's why a lot of people, there was a lot of people, you're right, they did not keep record. And then when it got time to write the brag sheet, they're like, all right, I knew there were some things I get. And then you're kind of trying to go through it. And you're right, you kind of put it on there,
the way it
I don't want to say a cuss word, half, but yeah, that's the way it goes. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't even know why we got in this conversation.
We were talking about the Scranton CO being relieved for loss of confidence. Right. So the Russians have commissioned their new super sub.
Yeah, the one they've been bragging about.
Is that the name of that thing? The Belograd? How do I say that? Belgorod. So this is the quote, the longest submarine in the world. It's actually longer than the Typhoon class. But I don't think that's really fair, because the reason I don't think it's fair is because the propeller skids, the skegs for the propeller, stick out past the end. It's like saying, oh, here's the second tallest building in the world, so we're going to put a radio antenna on top of it. Now it's the tallest building in the world. I don't think that should count. But the tail end of the Belgorod sticks out further than the Typhoons, and that's why they get the record for being the longest submarine in the world.
Right. And they're carrying these doomsday torpedoes.
What they say.
So they just got well, they said they just now got delivered, I guess, this week. I'm trying to see if I can.
Yeah, it's brand new.
You don't. Well, you got next time you got to give me ability to share screen because I can share some drawings here and stuff.
Just
you do that? Yeah, because I got one up. I can share 6 Poseidon intercontinental nuclear powered. These things are nuclear powered. That'd be interesting to know how that works. Armed autonomous torpedoes.
I think you have to request it. I don't know.
Well, no, I put it in. It says host disabled the participant screen sharing.
Did I?
It says, yeah, that's what it says. Just like you disabled my voice at the beginning of this podcast. I'm going to put that in your eval. I'm keeping track. I'm keeping my eye on you, Dave.
Yes, but also put in there the fact that I took responsibility for it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
as
just all jacked up.
I don't know how to do this. Then I don't see any way to do it. Share screen. Oh, here we go. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. How about that?
Yeah.
Try it now.
That'd be cool.
See if you can do it now.
Yeah. See, look. Sorry. See if I can get that share. Boom.
There we go.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Look at that sucker.
Cutaway of Russian Navy submarine Belgorod.
And look who that's drawing. I got to get a hold of that guy, H.I. Sutton. He's even doing some podcasts and stuff. He's not a submariner, but he's an artist. He's just really gotten into naval technology, and his drawings are just exceptional.
Okay, but let's ask some questions. That torpedo that they think it's like gigantic. So if you took that torpedo back into the tube, look how far back it would extend into the hull of the ship. It would be back in halfway through the ops compartment, what we would call the ops compartment.
And does it have any defensive? Can you see my pointer?
No.
On there?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, I can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you just see the torpedo tubes for these Poseidon, but is there any defensive capabilities? I don't see those type of torpedoes. You see these things in the back.
Well, how many of these things can they carry? One, maybe two. Of course, if it's the doomsday weapon they claim it is, then... I guess we have to go with, well, they don't, how many do they need? But so this is the torpedo they claim. They claim that this torpedo can go basically across an entire ocean. It's nuclear tipped and will cause giant tsunamis and take out a port. This is what they claim. Now, again, I don't know. Is it theoretically possible? Sure. Anything is theoretically possible, but does it work? Have they demonstrated it? I haven't seen it. Have you?
No, I haven't. But you would think they would. We test all our weapons. You don't necessarily have to have an ordnance on there where it blows up a nuclear explosion. But you can still test the torpedo itself, kind of like we would do down at AUTEC. You shoot and test torpedoes. These things have got to work somehow. I'm sure they've had to test it.
Well, I get that, but how do you test a torpedo halfway across the world, across the entire ocean, without somebody noticing? And
look, it's got the propellers in the back. It doesn't have the what do you call it, the newer propellers that we're using now?
The propulsors.
Propulsors, yeah, it doesn't have propulsors, so that makes it. But maybe this is a standoff type submarine. They literally,
Well, I think that's
sitting in the middle of the Atlantic and shoot one of these things off.
Yeah. I think that's the idea, but number one, you're going to have to assume that you're safely operating. To me, that's the only reason why you would have a torpedo that can go halfway around the world, is so that you don't have to go out into the ocean and potentially get found.
And then it has that mini submarine on the bottom.
Right.
So that means that they must be able to go into the laterals. They got extra thrusters for hovering. So this is a big monster, like you're saying. But it looks like they can get close in and do ops that way as well. And then they got those autonomous underwater. What was that submarine show back in the 90s? I posted a video. It was kind of No, you know the one where they just had this big monster sub, and I can't remember.
Dude, I haven't watched the submarine TV shows.
It was so yeah. Somebody's already saying it. Oh, it was this, but I mean, it kind of all the things that this thing can do. It kind of reminds me of that. But it is interesting how everything is going submarines. I mean, you look at Navy. You just pick up the Navy tech, or when you check Navy on like Google it, it's always something about submarines. Yeah, you'll see a destroyer here and there, or you might see. Well, you always see like Poseidon, the plane, the hunters. But but everything's underwater now.
Why would you do that? Because okay, let's say that they have this torpedo that can go all the way around the world, blow up, cause a tsunami.
Right.
Why would you build a multiple billion-dollar submarine to launch that? You could literally, if it could do what they say it could do, you could literally launch it from your own harbor, right? Or a cheap surface ship. You could take a merchantman, put a couple of these torpedo tubes on there, and send it. Why would you build this billions of rubles of submarine just to do that? It doesn't make financial sense.
Right. And then we got this. Let me pull up this other one, Dave. Orca?
I don't know.
We got another.
This thing, by the way, is just a modified Oscar-class submarine. That's all it is. It's just lengthened out, presumably to handle the Losa shark and the long torpedoes. But
see if I can get the Orca up. Is this the Orca here?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm impressed with it or not. Okay, so they got the longest submarine in the world. Whoop-de-frickin-do. Still makes noise. And I would bet you money there's still a couple 774s and maybe even a 21 up there kind of sniffing around for. So
right.
Really, it doesn't do you any good to have all that weaponry if you can't get away from those, right?
Agreed.
I don't know, man. I'm compressed by it, but at the same time, it's kind of like the Typhoons, man. It's just.
Do you see the Bowman Orca here?
Yep.
I mean, there's another one. So we got these little torpedo mine things. I know nothing about it. Looks like they come out the side. So I know this thing has been in a long testing phase. It might even be active. Who knows?
Well, if you can't trust Forbes, who can you trust? And
of course, any superpowers. I mean, the best stuff you don't even know about it. Just like the stealth fighter, Desert Storm. Nobody knew anything about that until they came off and like, whoa, hey, where'd that thing come from? We got UFOs coming in here.
So anyway, the Russians are pretty proud, but you know what the Russians don't have that we do have?
What's that?
They don't have a Subvets coffee mug.
Oh, Dave, yes. Look at that.
But they could if they knew how to get one.
That's right. Matter of fact, we can bring that up too. Let me get that. So you go to the subvet.com, and if you want to get some of our cool merch, which Eric is slowly developing. Let me pull up the merch here. So we're going to go.
Created a monster with this screenshot.
Yeah, now we're on it now. So share screen. And then can you see the merch there?
Yes, I can.
So there's the sub. So, you can do so let me go to so there's the main, so that, so it is powered by Zazzle, which again was recommended by Bear, which we talked about that before. So if you get down in here, so another cool thing about Zazzle, which I haven't discussed yet, is you can actually change some of these things. So it's like this one has, the Grant on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually click on the other side of it if you get to the side where that. I mean, what I've been doing is I got some programs where I can make these things a little bit more visual appealing, but you can get your boat and put it on there, 41 for freedom, find your patch. You can put that on there yourself and then change your name, to what it, because this is just an example on this one. And you can change your name and put your rank and years you served. It's really cool that, you can keep the time and you can literally edit the design. And the cool thing is it helps out the subvet.com. And let me stop sharing. Did you see the cool T-shirt in the back? That came out better than I thought it would.
I did see that t-shirt. This is Eric's 41 for Freedom t-shirt, which I can't wear because I was not on a 41 for Freedom boat. We need some kind of phrase for the tree halls. We need like 18 for Annihilation or something. I don't know. But there's the.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. But there it is. Yeah.
You have to talk so that it changes. Yeah, you have to talk so it changes.
Oh yeah, so I got some of like this. Yeah, I got to bring the mic up. But I really like the design how they came out. They came out better than I thought it did. The dolphins on the front. It's got some a little bit different color shades, kind of going with the subred orange. Did you see what my wife got me in the back, Dave, back here? Did you see that?
I do. I see it.
Big sign. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm in my third studio since we started. So I'll be in this room for at least a little while. Let me put this back.
So there you go, folks. And the really cool thing about Subvet merchandise, which you can get at the subvet.com, is that the Russians don't have it, even if they do have the longest.
They don't have that.
Right. So there you go.
And if you have it, it just makes you a better person, is what it does.
It does. So we did get an email.
Makes you happier. Makes your marriage better. Makes your dog happier. I'm trying to think of some other things.
I don't have a dog.
I don't. It won't make you any money because you'll be out of some money when you
buy it. Here's one that it does. It helps defeat Putin. So therefore, you should do this. It's your patriotic duty to buy Subvet merchandise because it helps defeat Putin.
Yeah. Get rid of them bad Russians.
All right, man. We did get an email this week. Actually, I think it came in a couple of weeks ago, but we were busy with some other things. So we got one of our listeners who is writing books. As I understand it, he's asked both of us to do reviews of his books when they're ready. I haven't seen anything saying they're ready yet, so I told him we would. But one of the things he asked about, and I didn't know what to tell him, he was asking about crossing the line ceremonies. Now, the only thing I know about crossing line ceremonies is what I've read in books. That's it. That's all. I have no personal experience with crossing the line becoming a shellback.
Right.
I don't think you do either.
But are all these things kind of relatively the same? Like the blue nose? I mean, it's King Neptune, and you're eating disgusting stuff and wallowing around in disgusting stuff.
Right.
And probably not like that anymore. Maybe it is. I don't know. Things have changed.
I'm pretty sure it's not like it was during World War II. So
yeah.
Stanley Johnson wrote a book called Queen of the Flat Tops, and it's the story of the USS Lexington, the first one, from the day the war started until she was sunk. And they were talking about how they did crossing line. This was really cool to me. So they got this big line with these guys with fire hoses that you got to go between, and they hit you with the fire hose. They literally beat you with the fire hose. I don't know why I think that's cool, but it is. But the funniest thing they do is they had an aircraft elevator center line forward. And so they would run the elevator all the way down to the bottom, and they built this big swimming pool on it. Okay, which is kind of cool if you think about it, but
yeah, they
bring the polywogs. Water.
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
it was water. So they bring the polywogs, the non-shellback people who are being initiated, up to the edge of the elevator, and they make them look down. So it's a good 70-foot drop, right, down to the hangar deck. And then they take them away, and they blindfold them, and they put them through all this crap, and then they lead them back to the edge of the elevator and tell them to jump. And of course, most of them don't jump because they're terrified of this giant drop.
Right.
Well, in the meantime, they've run the elevator all the way up, right? So that it's right below.
Right.
What's the scene? What's the scene in Down Periscope? Remember when they have Lieutenant Marty walk
falls
the
into falls into the fish net and a couple fishermen.
Same kind of thing, I guess. So, and everybody has a good laugh. But the answer is we have never crossed the line. So here's what we're looking for. We are looking for someone who has crossed the line and wants to be on the show to talk about that thing so that
that experience.
Right. So that our listener who is writing books about it can talk about it in his books. Because I don't know nothing.
I'd be interested in the blue nose. I mean, we were going to do that with One Patrol and a Grant. We lost the TG, and well, that kind of, if you're on that was what the old rules. You're on one TG, you can't go under. So
I would be willing. You asked that question at the beginning of the show if I would be willing to go back to the Navy. So if they paid me $16,000 and promised me that I could become either a blue nose or a polywog or a shellback, I would do it. That I would do. So I'd go on a mess crank for that. But otherwise,
but just that. I mean, as soon as you get your certificate, you're
right.
back
I'm done.
home.
Right. I'm done. I'm
you guys
done.
go do whatever you want. I got my certificate. You know what is it? A month to get your 16 grand and you're done, right?
That would be
with inflation, that'll get you some cool merch on the subvet and a cup of coffee and I don't know what else. Will
tank
buy?
of gas.
A couple loaves of bread. Yeah, some tank of gas. With inflation.
Our gas prices here have fallen 30 cents in 5 days.
Really? Because ours have been staying pretty much the same.
No, ours are dropping, which makes me wonder. Midterms are coming, so I hate to politicize everything, but it makes me wonder because it can't be the demand. The demand's the same. Everybody's still doing all that stuff. So I don't know, man. I don't trust any of this stuff anymore. I'm not a conspiracy theorist like some people I could name, but
me.
There's some hinkiness going on here with the oil prices and gas prices and Joe Biden selling 1 million barrels to the Chinese. That's
that's the recent one. What is that out of the strategic reserve? I don't get that. Have you ever heard anything like that? It's got nothing to do with who's president. I mean, why would you do that?
More importantly, why would you do something that you know is going to be found out? It's like being the captain of a ship. Why would you drink alcohol? Because you might get drunk and get a DUI. Why would you take that risk? Why would you do this knowing that it's going to get found out? That's the part I don't get. You knew that they were going to find out that this was going to happen, but you did it anyway. And that's the part that doesn't make any sense to me. Did they really think that it wasn't going to become known?
Mm-hmm.
Surely not.
I don't know.
Surely not.
Well, maybe the My Pillow guy will come back out and say we got 2 more weeks.
Word.
And we
Really?
can get Trump back, right? That's the favorite meme. 2 more weeks.
Yeah. Still hasn't happened. You know why it hasn't happened? It's not going to.
Because it's not going to happen. Exactly.
Not going to happen.
Because we're in bizarro world now. It's upside down and backwards.
Yeah.
So, but there were some couple other cool things in submarine world here. Let me see if I can get that back up. I had you messed up my rhythm. We got off talking about crazy stuff.
Somebody has to. This is a different kind of live show because we don't have a guest, so we can afford to kind of diddle dally.
Well, I mean, it's vacation stuff. So what do you do? So we talked about that website in 1945. They're always posting stuff about submarines on there, and some of it's pretty cool. Royal Navy has a submarine as stealth as a baby dolphin. That's one of the headlines for 1945. That's a good one.
Are baby dolphins stealthy?
Oh, so well, there was an article. So, I didn't see anything about detecting submarines, but it's an interesting article on there. It's a drone that shoots lasers into the ocean, and it says it tracks robots.
Right.
And it's talking about some kind of research and stuff like that. But it doesn't say anything about using it for naval purposes. But it makes you think: is it possible to, because they talk about refraction, because obviously that happens when a laser goes in the water. Is it possible that might be something where a drone in the future can detect maybe submarines that are at a shallow depth? I don't know. That's crazy though.
I'm looking at the article, but I don't. It doesn't sound like a detection system as much as it does a tracking system. Is what Adrian McElwee says.
And the favorite one was the Spanish police seized unmanned submarine drones used to move drugs.
Well, there you go.
Cocaine with the drone. So drone technology is just like the coolest thing ever. You can do anything with it now.
Right. Pretty amazing.
I'm tired of taking blood thinners, Dave.
Why?
I just because I just touched something and I start bleeding to death. I stopped. Actually, my last one's tomorrow, and I'll be done with that. Did you have to do that?
Did I have to do
When
what?
Take a blood thinner after surgery.
I mean, I took a lot of ibuprofen before the surgery. Then they told me I couldn't for like a week before, and that sucked. And then as soon as the surgery was done, I was like, you know what? I'm taking the. I think I did have to take one, but I don't think it was anything other than ibuprofen. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm sitting here now. I'm just noticing. I'm kind of.
Good Lord, dude!
I'm bleeding to death.
Jeez, right what did you hit?
So that was my dog, and I just kind of wiped over, and the next thing it's opened back up again. Yeah, she just.
Your dog is.
Dogs are happy. Yeah, well, they got their, the claws are happy to see it. Normally, if you're a normal human, whatever that is, it doesn't bother you. You might get scratched skin, but you're on blood thinners and taking anti-inflammatories at the same time, which is kind of dangerous.
That, or your dog has developed a taste for human flesh.
No, she's not doing. I better be careful. I might wake up missing an arm in the morning. This is a ridiculous show.
Well, the other news story that we were talking about yesterday, late night test of an Air Force new Mark 21A intercontinental ballistic missile reentry vehicle ends with explosion 11 seconds after launch at Vandenberg Space Force Base. God, I can't even say that.
Yeah, I saw that. So that's a replacement for the Minuteman III. So
right, but the whole article is about the reentry body. The Mark 21A reentry body exploded 11 seconds after the launch. And when you read the whole article, you're like, okay, the bomb part exploded. But that's not what happened. I mean, it is, but it's not.
How's a bomb part explode? I mean, it's coming in at 16,000 miles an hour. How's that?
This is the part. I mean, you got to go 3 paragraphs into this before you get this sentence. You ready? The explosion was caused by the failed launch. In other words, the rocket blew up, and the Minuteman, the Minotaur II rocket blew up, which caused the warhead to blow up. The test warhead to blow up. So it wasn't the Mark 21 warhead that just blew up on its own. It didn't just go, hell's bells, let's just blow up. That's not what happened. The rocket itself, the Minotaur II rocket, blew up, and in a sympathetic detonation, the Mark 21A test warhead preliminary design concept went up with it. But I swear to God, you read every article on the internet, it's like the Mark 21 blew up. And that's what tends to happen sometimes when you put stuff on top of a rocket that's blowing up too.
All right. So the USS Georgia, that's not an SSGN, is it?
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay. Well, the other story was a week ago. The Marines have been training with, the USS Georgia and the USS Ohio near Okinawa. So,
well, not near Okinawa, because Georgia this morning was in Faslane.
Well, yeah. So
that's not,
I was going to bring that up. So, I mean, Russia was like, hey, there's an awful lot of U.S. submarines coming into, Faslane and Scotland. Just saying.
Didn't the Boomer show up there a couple of weeks ago? Wasn't that Rhode Island?
Yes.
Pulled in there? I mean,
yeah, I think it was Rhode Island.
You read the news and you go, okay, well, look, the submarine is in Faslane. And submariners look at that and go, that submarine is in Faslane. Which is like, okay, here's a message for you. Like submarines pulling into Guam when Kim Jong whatever is getting hyper, or China's getting a little hyper, all of a sudden U.S. submarines start showing up. And it's like, oh, well, here's a message for you.
Well, I mean, I kind of like the SSGN is kind of like the new aircraft, because in modern warfare, where we're getting with all this drone and AI technology, I mean, aircraft carriers, unless you're attacking or trying to intimidate a small country, I mean, aircraft carriers, their day is almost done. So what do you do to intimidate a superpower? Well, you park an SSGN off of it, with all those Tomahawk cruise missiles.
You really think an aircraft carrier's days are just about done?
I was reading an article. I don't know if I posted it. It was like 2 weeks ago. I ran into that, and they're just saying that are we at the end of the day? Because it's always been like a political chess move type piece. hey, you're causing problems. Boom, here's an aircraft carrier. You're still causing problems. Well, here's 2 aircraft carriers. How do you like that? But they're saying that, what? So you might get your jets off of it, but is it going to be there when you get back? Is the question. With these hypersonic, it's what it was saying with all the hypersonic missile technology.
Right.
You can take out
today,
surface ships.
No one's actually proved works. Until they prove it.
And we don't know. It's pure speculation. Is the phalanx capable? Can it take out one of those things? Can it take out multiple ones incoming? I don't know. Maybe it can. Maybe it's upgraded.
Well, fortunately, I know a CWIS guy, so I'll talk to him and ask.
That'd be interesting.
In my spare time.
So all the UFO stuff's getting hot again. So that's where all So it's not. I would like to think it's aliens, but is it really aliens? Because why is all these CIA guys getting involved? Like we don't know what it is. It could be aliens from outer space, but no, it could be just technology that's been developed, and maybe that's another show of force. Like
it might just be an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, exactly. It could be something, a new type of weapon, and we're just saying, "Hey, looky what we got."
Could be,
or the opposite. China and Russia could be doing the same. I don't know. It's crazy. I guess we're getting ready to find out.
All I know is
next coming months.
All I know is every time this UFO story breaks, it's because some politician doesn't want you paying attention to what he's actually doing, like selling oil to China or.
Look over there.
Girl.
That's fun. That's true. So, get into your historical type thing. Weren't most major battles, like in World War II, it was done in summer, like the invasion, D-Day, summer. It was a summertime invasion. So here we are. We're in the middle of summer. We passed the solstice?
Yeah.
I think we have.
June 21st.
So, we got all this troop movements. We got.
Well, that doesn't.
Everything in position. Are we get?
That's more to do with
Russia really? Is that really the target for? I'm on the NWO. They want their new world order. So you got one new world order, and then of course if Russia and China, which I don't know if Russia and China really gets along, because wasn't Russia dominated by Mongolia for like 800 years or something like that? They're probably still upset about that. It's ancient history, but they're really busy. So are they going to? Do they want? Well, that's what I'm saying. They got their version of the New World Order. Whatever that can be. So it's just about ruling over people instead of like what we're talking with Dave Ramsey. It's just people just need to start getting along.
No,
start dropping things. Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We've had 2 governments fall today. And it's getting worse. So traditionally it's the summertime when you go to combat in Europe, because that's when the weather's good, not the.
Yeah, Russia gets really cold. Right. You don't want to gauge Russia in the wintertime.
Right, but we've run invasion. We invaded Guadalcanal in August. We invaded North Africa in November. So it's more about the weather than anything else. And. No, I don't really want to fight. See, I got a feeling we're going to end up in a war in Ukraine sooner or later. Ukraine or Lithuania, one of the two, which is going to draw in the Poles. I don't know what the Germans are going to do. I really don't.
Well, we got the situation where, we're coming up on wintertime and people are running out of diesel fuel. They're running out of heating oil. It's going to be the dark winter.
Yeah.
So that's just just to me. It seems like there's just a lot of tension in the air, and it could be like what we're talking about. How people just talking in your local community. How people are just so snippy with each other. They're just ready to jump on you, just like for no reason at all. And you're like, hey, take it easy. So I don't know. That's 5G though, by the way. 5G military bandwidth. Yeah.
Wasn't that one of the Kingsman movies? They used the 5G stuff to irritate people and turn them to kill each other. And
hey, man, everything's Tesla vibrational frequencies, man. They took out a building in New York.
Tesla, did you see that? Did you see Elon Musk is not going to buy Twitter now?
Yeah, I saw that. and he sold a lot of Tesla stock at a high premium price right before that. So I don't know what kind of, he went quiet for a while. That's completely strange. What's going on with that? So
I don't think he was ever going to buy Twitter. I think he was just trolling people. But when I said
you
that,
did find out there was. Well, you did find out there was a lot of AI bots in those things. I mean, and that's true with all these social media things. Yeah, because he got a hold of the code. Because that was part of the buy deal. He had to be able to inspect the back end to see.
I don't need to have the code to know that there are tons of bots on social media. Jeez.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Now I'm not so impressed with these people. They're not as smart as I think they are. Maybe they shouldn't make chief because they're apparently dumb as rocks.
Or become a submarine commander. So
yeah.
We see what happens when we don't have guests. We just talk about crazy everything.
Speaking of crazy everything, I'm going to be gone for at least 2 weeks. So I'm not sure when we're leaving. That's the thing. So my father is very ill. Even as we've been sitting here doing this tonight, he has been readmitted to the ER. He's having some.
Sorry to hear that.
He's having some serious problems. He's 82 years old, and my mother's 80. And I always said to myself, I've been blessed to have my parents for as long as I have, because I'm almost 60. Right. But at the same time, Eric,
I lost mine early. Yeah.
At the same time, boy, things go downhill really fast. And for some reason, they're all going south at exactly the same time. My father is hospitalized. My baby sister's on hospice care. So I am headed for sure to Oklahoma, just not certain when yet. Could leave as early as Monday, might be as late as Thursday. We're still kind of up in the air on some things with travel arrangements and the likes of that. So I will not be available to sub vets for the next couple of weeks, and it could be longer.
Are you running through Denver area by chance?
We probably will. Now that I think about it, we probably are going through Denver.
Well, if you do, at least maybe we could take a picture together.
At the very least. My original stopping plan was Pueblo, but I may revise that now. Now that I sit here and think about that, that may be something to think about. And then we could do it live in person, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that would be one thing. So yeah, I did post something. This is kind of through my church, but I don't want to make it about my church. But I just think it's a good way to close this out. So it's it's a good time. Where we feel this conflict and rage and everything. Well, how about we just try to end conflicts that are raging in your heart? You can read this if you go to my personal page. If you're a member of my, the Facebook where you have to accept them. Raging in your heart, your home, and your life. Bury and all inclinations to hurt others, whether those inclinations by temper, a sharp tongue, or a resentment for someone who has hurt you. So it's just time to forgive, forget. It's better if we can all get along at the individual level. And like for Dave's, father there, let's do some prayers for him. And pray for your family and your friends too. So I think it's just important time that maybe if we do something like that, let's create some love, like we did in No 2. We called ourselves the Love Division. We didn't like all the craziness that was so things went better. When you had the Love Division. So we did call ourselves that.
Really?
We called ourselves the Love Division.
See,
we don't want no anger in here. There's no anger in 51. You got to, if you were angry, you go over to publications, guys. Those guys are big and angry. You go over and hang out with them. But so that's all I got for my message. I'm not even going to tell
you what I would assume. A division called the Love Division.
Everybody had their clothes on.
Everybody loved everybody.
There's a lot of No 2 stories. I could write a series of books about my adventures at No 2. That was just completely crazy. But they say it's not like that anymore. But anyways,
nothing ever was. Well. In any case, I won't be available. So if Eric does a show,
I might go live. I got some other ideas. I might be doing some independent ops. So don't be surprised if I jump on there, or I might even get a guest and we'll throw down with something too.
But if not, I'll be back in a couple of weeks and everything will be
So I hope
hopefully
everything
back to normal.
Yeah, and if you need some help, let me know. It doesn't sound like I'll be too far away. So
There you go. All right, everybody. That's it for this week. I'm DolphinDave at slipperyfish.com.
And I'm Eric, and Eric at thesubvet.com. And you can find us on social media, Facebook. So it's Facebook/group/thesubvet. I finally got that. Twitter/thesubvet. And also thesubvet.com.
So there you are.
Everybody had a good, focus on family and just take it easy. Well, if you're in Colorado, you can partake of, the weed plant stuff.
Especially if you're in Hackensack, New Jersey. You guys just need to calm the flip down. You guys.
Yeah, everybody just calm down. Because we just don't need no more of it crazy. Just try to make it a good summer, at least for a couple of weeks.
And on that note, we are
1, 2, 3, the Subvet.
Hey, we actually got it. See you next time, everybody.
All right, bye-bye.